Welcome to Talking Giants, presented by SeatGeek. I'm your host, Bobby Skinner, here with my co-host, Justin Pennick. And camp is over, which means the 53-man roster has been finalized, even though it's never going to be finalized until the season's over. And the Giants traded for Boogie Basham. I even want to talk a little about Jihad, Ward, and Aaron Rodgers and the reaction to some of that stuff. Justin, how are you?
Bobby Skinner, ready for September 10th. Kind of taking the little bit of a weekend to digress. I'm not even taking the weekend. I actually have a lot of plans during the weekend. Maybe doing something Saturday morning. I'm going to be calling a high school game Saturday afternoon, which is very fun. So taking the end of this week to take a breath. I'm in Atlantic City right now, one of the greatest cities in the world. I am up $30. And we're going to talk about 53-man roster. Kind of boring compared to last year. And I think that's a better sign for the direction of the Giants because the 53, we knew this kind of coming in, the 53-man roster would mostly be set. No waiver claims by the Giants.
Yeah, no, well, they did make a claim, but they weren't awarded any. So, but in recent years, it's been very active. But at the same time, I do think it's been just as active as other years, but they did it through trades. Isaiah Simmons for the 7th,
right?
And which happened a week ago at this point, and then Boogie Basham for this the 6th and 7th pick swap with the Bills. So I think they kind of went and did their stuff that they wanted to do because they were down on the waiver claim for the first time since 2017.
How many guys were there last year that they claimed?
5.
5, yeah.
So 4 initially, and then Tyree Phillips after Blake Martinez was cut. So you had Tyree Phillips, Jack Anderson, Nick McLeod, Justin Lane, and then Jason Pinnock, who we rightfully were like, hey, this is the one that has some talent in there. And then the year before, they did a Bredesen trade, the Billy Price trade, and then claimed Quincy Roche, too, which was nice to see. Justin, before we get into Boogie Basham and break down his game and this trade and all that stuff, this episode is brought to you by some special people. Greg Giants 10, just that's his name. I like it. It's simple. Let's go. And then Josh Boyer, who the currency that he pays with is just a $, so I'm not sure what that is.
But he's related to Clint Boyer.
I don't know what country he's from. I'm about to send him a message asking.
He's related to Clint Boyer. Did you know that?
Yes.
Yes.
I did know that, actually.
These wonderful people went to patreon.com/talkinggiants. We're recording at a 2:45 on a Thursday afternoon. We got like 25 people in here hanging out with us, analyzing, breaking down this 53-man roster. You don't want to miss it. Patreon.com/talkinggiants. Bobby Skinner will also have some shirt raffles that happen a couple times a month, and he'll send you some stickers when you sign up. Thanks for our patrons.
There's also
we love you.
one more perk.
Whoa.
Because it's the season. Our preview pod, we will be pulling Patreon members to represent the listeners on the preview pod for the spread pick segment. So
yes,
that's very big. That's worth maybe $1 million.
Yes.
Justin, the Giants made a trade. They traded for Boogie Basham, the defensive end from the Buffalo Bills, who was a second-round pick for them. Who I guess Joe Schoen had a big part of that process of getting him, was the first scout, first person of the Bills that he met with.
Yeah, according to Boogie.
Which part of me is like, ooh, that wasn't a great second round pick, Joe Schoen. But you know what? He got him here. They traded their 6th round pick in 2025 for Boogie Basham and the Bills' 7th round pick, which I'm very glad that's what the pick swap was. I didn't want it to be like a 4th and a 5th, or even a 5th and 6th. It being a 7th and 6th really makes me like this trade. Because the Giants needed edge depth, right? And listen, I didn't think they were going to go out and add some type of pass rusher edge depth, but we've been saying, like, there's has to be better run defenders out there because right now they have pass rushers who don't defend the run out after Jihad Ward. And so O'Shane Ximines gets cut. They go after Boogie Basham, who that is what he does, Justin. He doesn't add to you very much as a pass rusher, despite the fact that he has a great RAS score. He just doesn't get off the ball very fast. He has no bend around the corner. Like every sack he's had in the NFL, which is only 4.5, has been a true coverage sack, which you guys know me, I hate that term. I think it's misused all the time, but these were true coverage sacks. That's all he got. But he is strong and he's big. He's 6'3", 280 pounds. He's one of the bigger ends that you're going to get. Just to see if they let him put his hand in the ground a little bit because he was in a even front in Buffalo. He's a good run defender, Justin. Like, there's really no moving him. He sets a good edge, even though I think he can be more consistent and squeezing down the edge instead of just setting one. He's good in pursuit plays. He's got good eyes to make plays from the backside and go make tackles 2-3 yards down the field. if he's getting pulled at, there's really good stuff of him, like knowing when to lever, when to spill, when to, take it on, when to try and avoid it. And there's some interior versatility too, which I know Wink Martindale likes. So again, the Giants, I did not want to have O'Shane Ximines out there getting moved off in the run game. And the Giants need to get better as a run defense. They desperately need to do that. They could not have a repeat of what last year was. So at least if Kayvon or Azeez were to go down, you could put in Boogie Basham or Jihad Ward, and those guys can at least be good run defenders, and they're not going to give you much pass rush value. And, Wink Martindale knows I'm going to simulate some of this stuff, and I'm going to get these guys free rushes at the quarterback, so he's not going to be asked to work the corner. Sorry, I just went for a while, talking about that.
Well, no. I mean, I two quick things, basically, to summarize this. Number one, Boogie Basham is an upgrade over O'Shane Ximines, number one.
Absolutely. And he's not a great player, but he's a big upgrade over O'Shane Ximines.
And number two, Boogie Basham is basically just a younger Jihad Ward.
And I think he needs to embrace that, Justin. I think he can be a better player than Jihad Ward in the NFL if he embraces that. Because you see as a pass rusher, he's kind of trying to work hand moves and work the corner, and it's just not there for him. It's just not there for him. And he does do a spin move, which isn't bad. I was actually talking with Anthony, who covers the Bills for Cover 1, and he's like, yeah, his first year he did it a lot, and it was kind of like a meme. Like, all he would do was try and work this spin move. You're not going to see, hopefully we don't see that used a ton. But if he would kind of embrace what he is and just, hey, I'm going to be a power guy. I'm going to be a power guy, and that's what I'm going to do. I think he can, that's where he can improve. And then obviously, just as he matures as a, human being and as he gets stronger and bigger, it can lead to having a successful career in the NFL, even though it's not going to live up to the second round pick that he was picked with out of Wake Forest.
And this is a conversation that we've had for years, Bobby, and something that Andrew Thomas has realized as a tackle as well, that so many guys want to be speed guys, so many edge rushers want to beat you around the corner, and Andrew Thomas is a guy that invites the bull rush. Boogie Basham, man, you're almost the same size as Jihad Ward. Dalton Feely, our football guy at John Boy Media right now, our researcher, we were having a conversation about Boogie and being like, he's definitely bigger than Jihad Ward. And like, no, he's not. He's actually, they're close to around the same size, but Boogie Basham is a little bit lighter. So lean into it, like you said. If you're not going to be a guy that's fast, don't try and use your hands and work moves that's going to try and beat a guy around the corner, because that's not who you are. So live by your MO. Use power, use those legs. Hey, even add a few pounds. Get up to Jihad Ward's big. Jihad Ward's almost 290 pounds, and I think Boogie's around 274 to 280 and what he's listed. So, yeah, definitely a clear upgrade over O'Shane Ximines. And like you said, Wink Martindale is going to rely on manufacturing pressure over, besides Kayvon and Azeez, the guys just flat out winning. And he was also going to rely on these interior guys a lot too. Yeah,
and it's just, one, he's here to help stop the run, because the Giants could not do that last year. And a part of that was bad edge setting, because when O'Shane Ximines is on the field, he gets moved off the spot. And they just couldn't not roll him out there as their fourth guy. We were even saying Tamon Fox over him, but in Tamon Fox, both O'Shane and Fox are on the practice squad after being cut. But it's like, Fox is a guy who's going to have these good plays because he rushes with a plan. He's kind of somebody, he doesn't have the great NFL build to stop the run, and he doesn't have the explosiveness to be a great
Timon
pass
is big
rusher.
Effort. Timon Fox is a big effort player where he's
a high IQ football player.
Yeah,
he knows how to play the position. And that's why he had so much success at UNC, getting, double-digit sacks a few times. But it's like the NFL, it's a lot more about, how are you as an athlete?
Yeah.
How strong and big are you? And Boogie Basham, fills into the big and strong role. And like I said, he does play like Jihad Ward.
If you get a front four of Boogie, Jihad Ward on the edge with Dex and Leo in the interior, or you take Leo out and you put Ashawn Robinson in there, that's got to be one of the biggest front fours in the league, right?
I'm excited to see the Giants run defense this year.
Yeah.
There's some size, there's some depth now. I really am excited to see them play run defense. You add Okereke. I'm very excited to see Giants run defense this year.
Yeah.
The Giants did try to claim a player, Nick Broker, the offensive lineman out of Ole Miss, rookie. The Bills drafted in the 7th round. He actually had the most claims on him. He ended up going to the Texans, who were second in the waiver wire.
Oh, he was really bad. I just remember I think he was one of the worst linemen at the Senior Bowl.
Yeah, his film was better in real life than this year. He actually reminded me of Mark Lewinsky, which is a bad thing, but also a good thing if you're a 7th rounder. So, I mean, they don't add any new offensive linemen to the roster. We'll talk about practice squad later. Justin, I know offensive line depth is something that a lot of teams around the league talk about, right? Because there's not a lot of good offensive linemen. Like, the difference between starters and backups is a huge, wide margin. But man, for the Giants, it feels bad. I mean, right now your backups are Matt Parrott, assumedly Josh Azudu, McKeithen, who just, he's played one, a little bit a couple series after missing a whole year, come off torn ACL, and more of just being on the roster because they drafted him. And then Shane Lemieux made it. Now, if the Giants do add anybody throughout the season, I think Shane Lemieux is the first person that's probably, set to be cut. Like if they were awarded Nick Brocker, they probably would have cut Shane Lemieux. Because Lemieux had a good preseason, but it's kind of late in the run, and we got he's been bad and hasn't played and been injured. It is at a point, and Tyree Phillips was cut too. He's back on the practice squad, but he was having a really bad camp before getting injured and didn't play in any of the preseason games. Let alone Evan Neal, Justin. But if Andrew Thomas gets injured, you're screwed.
I mean, I think you're saying that regardless of whether or not what the depth looks like, right?
Yeah, but man, Parrott looked really bad in the preseason. Really, really bad in the preseason.
I'm way more concerned about swing tackle than I am about the interior.
Me too, because at least you have the rotation of the 3 guys in there.
And look, even if it gets down to a point where Shane Lemieux's in there, Shane Lemieux has NFL experience. It's been the health that we've been worried about year in and year out with Shane Lemieux. So if Shane Lemieux is our last line of defense, on the interior out of the realistic guys, I'm not counting Marcus McKeithen as a realistic option right now. If he's the last line of defense with the interior, then I'm like, okay, that is not the worst thing in the world, but tackle is at that dire spot. Yeah,
and I, for some reason, and maybe I fell into this in the season that this rosy, Tyree Phillips wasn't that bad, but he actually was. He just wasn't quite as bad as Evan Neal. He was, bottom 5 in the NFL in pass blocking efficiency.
He was. Tyree Phillips was a fine swing tackle last year. I kind of evaluate it as, and because as Giants fans, I feel like we're just brainwashed to think this. Are you a flat out disaster at offensive line? Or are you not a flat-out disaster? If you're not a flat-out disaster when maybe you're expected to, that's a win and that's a success.
Matt Parrott was clearly outperforming him in training camp, and then Phillips got injured, and Parrott in that Jets preseason game. That Jets preseason game was just an ass-kicking on Matt Parrott. And it's... Please, God, let Andrew Thomas stay healthy. Just because, one, he's an amazing player, but, man, it's you don't... This is why you draft offensive linemen every year. Yep. And this is why I hope that they draft offensive linemen every single year. Because you kind of got to build, let guys develop and turn it into something. Because they are in a bad spot with their depth right now. And I know there's a lot of teams around the league talking about it right now, but I don't give a damn. Because I cover this team. I root for this team. And if a tackle goes down, we're in rough shape.
Yep.
I want to talk about DraftKings because I love them so much. College football fans, are you ready for week 1? DraftKings Sportsbook is hooking you up with a can't-miss offer to start the season strong. This week, new customers can bet just $5 on college football and score $200 in bonus bets instantly. Life's more fun when you're in on the action. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code WORLD. New customers can score $200 in bonus bets instantly when they bet just $5 on college football. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code WORLD. Make sure you use the right code, people. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas, 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. See ccdkng.co/football for eligibility terms and responsibility gambling resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply.
Somebody on Twitter just claimed for me to be a liar, and I proved to them that I'm not a liar, so I win.
About what?
Somebody was having a conversation about Saquon Barkley and the receiving game. Somebody said Saquon had a negative average depth of target last year. Person replied, no, he didn't. And then the person said, then Justin Pennick lied to all of us. And then the other person said, I trust Mr. Pennick. He's probably right. And I'm like, I am right. So don't call me a liar.
I'm looking at your tweets and replies and I don't see it.
I just tweeted out the reply right now. I took a screenshot of the Pro Football Reference page as you were reading the ad. Not a liar. I would never lie to you. Unless I accidentally lie, which happens all the time.
No, he didn't. It's like, so confident. Before we talk about Wan'Dale Robinson getting off the pup and stuff.
Yeah.
Are you like, damn the Jets. I can't wait for... Now, I think there's always some fun when it's the in New York thing, even if it's not like this bitter rivalry. But Jihad Ward... So if you didn't watch Hard Knocks, I don't know if you did, Justin, that the Randall Cobb had the play where he didn't fully blindside, but gave Bobby McCain a concussion. And remember when I said Jihad Ward came through on the microphone of the referee? That was Jihad Ward being pissed and being like, I'm staying in the whole drive. So Jihad Ward was kind of just going like, ball was out and was like just going and giving pushes to Aaron Rodgers every opportunity that he got. And then Rodgers, pushed him back and blah, blah, blah. And then, after the touchdown, they got into it and Aaron Rodgers did the I don't know who you are thing. The reaction to that has been we had some fun with it. The idea that this is some huge rivalry, and that's just kind of football. Like that's trash talk. And it was a good trash talk line by Aaron Rodgers. Hopefully, if he doesn't pull that all the time, it's a good trash talk. If he just does that for everybody who's not a star.
I think he pulls that all the time.
Yeah, if it does it all the time, it's lame.
I think it's the first time he did it with the Jets, so it was cool. And then the cameras are gonna be off at Hard Knocks, and he's gonna do it again, and he's gonna do it again, because that's the type of person Aaron Rodgers is.
Yeah, so if he does it all the time, it's lame. But if he does it every once in a blue moon, it's all right. And then we had like the fan bases, the Jalen Hyatt versus Sauce Gardner thing.
Oh my god!
That was
Can
very
we just
annoying.
watch a preseason? Like I was at a point. I'm like, can
Jets
we
fans
just
took that as an offense, and it was more a compliment.
No.
It was like Jalen Hyatt played 5 passing plays. One of them he beat Sauce Gardner pretty quickly. No matter this, like we're not celebrating a stat line. We are evaluating our young player, and that's a really exciting thing to be evaluated by. So Jets fans are a little on edge, which, hey, all fan bases are. Our fan base can probably be annoying. It's like,
and they should
like
be
our
excited.
Fan base's reaction to the Peter Schrager saying Isaiah Simmons isn't that great, that was like, he's right. Like the reaction league-wide about Isaiah Simmons was like, he's this great player. He's not right now. Hopefully he can grow into something pretty good. But now the media is asking them all like, oh, Aaron Rodgers called it jet life, which is like, of course he called it jet life. He's a Jets player. He plays in the stadium.
They even asked Shep. That.
Yeah, they're asking all these guys questions, and they're answering, and they're trying to turn this into this rivalry, and I just don't think it is. I think it's Jihad Ward is mad about the Bobby McCain play, and that's essentially it.
Yeah,
like, they're trying to create this rivalry I just don't think is there. Like I've seen, like there's bad blood. It's like, yeah, well, there's bad blood between basically every team that lines up on Sundays.
If there wasn't Hard Knocks and cameras weren't following them and it's not mic'd up, then this is
nothing.
This isn't a thing. And then the only thing we would have is Jalen Hyatt over Sauce Gardner. I mean that's the only kind of conversation would be happening. I just think that I'm just really excited to play them because there is hype behind them, and I don't really like Aaron Rodgers, as I very much have made clear on this podcast throughout the years. I think he's a choke artist. I think when it matters and the lights are on, he doesn't play up to the level that he's really expected to, even with those Packers teams, whatever, if they weren't built right, I don't really care. So that's why I want to beat him, and that's where I think the rivalry exists, is that there are 2 New York teams that are relevant right now, and I think when it comes down to it, you want to be the team that wins. But I also think Jihad Ward is the type of player, just kind of seeing, he's an intense dude, he's a wild dude, he's an angry dude on the football field. I think Jihad Ward is the kind of guy that needs something on the football field to get pissed at, to want to just go out there and rip someone's head off. And I think that blindside hit on Bobby McCain was like the reason that, okay, I want to stay in this drive and get after the quarterback.
Yeah. It was just like that was the headlines out of like, it's like, okay, like it's like that was very basic trash talk on an NFL field. Like, there's
Hard Knocks has become a very basic show where it doesn't. I mean, I don't know if this is just something that gets old and something that gets repeated just gets old. I feel like Hard Knocks used to be better. I feel like it used to do a better job at highlighting even some of the players on the roster that nobody had a clue about. This entire summer has just been a Aaron Rodgers propaganda film, which is great for Jets fans, and it's a great storyline for the NFL, and this is, I guess, what the NFL wants from Hard Knocks this summer with the Jets, but yeah, it's boring, and that's honestly what this past week was. Oh, it's just Aaron Rodgers being like, I don't know who you are, bro. Oh, okay, cool. So,
yeah. So it's kind of been crazy.
Yeah.
Like it's been the weirdest like post preseason game reaction or the most like, I was like, wow, we do this every year with you guys, Jets. Like I've never had this reaction.
Well, because it's Hard Knocks. Hard Knocks had the mics and the cameras, and it was aired on TV. And the fact that it was Aaron Rodgers' first drive out there, they had to capitalize on it. So, like I said, I'm just excited to play them because they have so much hype around them. I do legitimately think the Giants are a team that is closer to a championship than the Jets, and you say that I am crazy for saying that. I do legitimately believe that, and I want this October, whenever we play them, Giants home game, I want to prove that. I want to beat them.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's always like a little tiny rivalry, but there's not a real rivalry. It's kind of like the Nets and the Knicks, where it's like, yeah, you guys care about like having the bragging rights, but it's not like Yankees Red Sox or something.
Not even Yankees Mets.
Yeah, like Yankees Mets is actually kind of a decent little rivalry. All right, Justin. Wan'Dale Robinson was activated off the PUP list, which is something we talked about. It's like Joe Shane didn't say that for no reason. He tore his ACL 9 months ago. It's going to be really interesting to see, maybe not even the beginning of the season, Justin, but as this season goes along, what Wan'Dale Robinson's role is. And now injuries, a lot of times answer these questions for us, and these end up being wasted conversations. But there is essentially 4 wide receivers ahead of him in snap share, right? Where like Hodgins, Slayton, and Paris are starters. And then Jalen Hyatt. Like, Jalen Hyatt's had a good enough camp in preseason where it's like he's going to force his way on the field. And it's what happens with Wan'Dale. So I think they should take it slow and give him a role, and then kind of at the end of the year evaluate. Like, what do we think of Wan'Dale Robinson? Because he is their highest draft investment that wasn't a first round pick in Wan'Dale Robinson. Higher investment than John Michael Schmitz. It's going to be interesting to see what the thought process is on him at the end of the season.
If Cole Beasley was healthy, he would have made the 53-man roster, and then that would have been 7 wide receivers. They have 6 right now. Definitely thought they were going to carry 7.
Even though Cole Beasley's on the practice squad, I'm just counting him as part of the roster. He's a part of this team. He's going to play.
But he's not right now, and that inevitably does change.
With practice squad elevations, I think he will be elevated week 1.
Oh, okay. Well, it also depends what his injury is and how long it will take him to actually heal from it, since we don't really have a lot of clarity on that either. But if let's just say Cole Beasley was healthy, is on the 53, the Giants are carrying 7 wide receivers. I think that would have led a path where Wan'Dale could have been a game day inactive, where the first couple games of the season, let's continue to rehab, come back and practice, and it's like a ramp up period, like a legit ramp up period. I still think like there will be a ramp up period for Wan'Dale, but I think he's playing week 1, and I think he can see some significant snaps, because really there's Paris Campbell and then Wan'Dale Robinson. If we're talking true slot wide receivers.
Yeah, yes, Shep's an outside wide receiver. He's true. He's only played on the outside in camp. He's a backup outside receiver.
Yeah, and Hyatt can go in the slot, but again, that's only in certain situations. You're not going to be asking Jalen Hyatt or really any of these other receivers that could line up in the slot to do the things that slot wide receivers kind of do. So it's Paris Campbell and Wan'Dale Robinson. I don't think Wan'Dale Robinson is going to be like scratched on game day week 1 unless basically Cole Beasley is ready to rock and roll. Cole Beasley can be elevated, and then maybe they give Wan'Dale Robinson the inactive label week 1.
Well, I don't even want to talk about like his week 1 role right now because you have the injury stuff. I want to talk about like end of year, let's say everyone's healthy.
Oh, okay.
What is kind of the role for him? Because we all talk about a rotation, but there's not all that many snaps to rotate. And guess what? They want to do a lot of 2 tight end stuff too, right? They're going to be rolling in a lot of 12 personnel. And you have Paris Campbell, who is ahead of him on the depth chart. Flat out. You have, Slayton and Hodgins, who are you going to be starting, and Jalen Hyatt rotating in, and even Shep's going to rotate in a little bit too. It's just a lot of reps to go around. And to me, it'd be like, take it slow with Wan'Dale. We'll evaluate his film at the end of the season, and that will help us make a decision going forward. Because if Campbell has another good year, you can like, I can see that if at the end of the year they are happy with what Wan'Dale Robinson looks on the field, even if he's not having the best stats because he's not playing a ton, but they're like, we like this. You can let a Paris Campbell walk after a successful year and just be like, okay, now it's time to go with Wan'Dale. It's year 3. This is your role, take it and go. But if he doesn't look great, I could see hindering his future a little bit.
Giants ran out of 11 personnel 66% of the time last year. Do you think that will increase or decrease? I think it may increase or stay the same. I don't think it's going to go down. I think it's going to stay around
the same because they want to. That was a lot. That's a lot of 12 personnel.
The 18% of the time was 12 personnel.
So they'll probably increase on 12 personnel, but yeah, I think it'll stay the same.
Yeah, I think it'll stay the same because there was a period of time towards the middle part of the year, and I can narrow these weeks. Let's what week was the Bears game?
3 or 4.
So let's just go week 3 to week 9 because that was like a big Giants, we're running the ball time. So let's see the uptick in 12 personnel during that because that was Tanner Hudson. All right, so it went 11 personnel in weeks 3 to 9, went down to 57%, 12% was 23%, and then 13 personnel was 8%, which is crazy. That's 31% with two or more tight ends on the field. So it's definitely not going to be that high because this is going to be an offense that is going to they're going to spread it out. Like even if they're in, it's so crazy. We even saw this preseason. Even when they're in like a heavy running formation and 13 personnel. We've seen them in camp be like, all right, we're going to put all 3 of these tight ends like out wide, and here we go. So kind of crazy.
I think they're still going to run a lot of 12 with Waller and Bellinger.
Yeah, for sure. And it could be 12 in multiple different ways. This is what we talked about after the Panthers game. It could be 12 in multiple different ways where your Waller's out wide and Bellinger's in the backfield, or Waller has his hand to the dirt and Bellinger's lined up as an H-back. So there's a lot of different things that they can do with that. And I would say like there is a much... to kind of put a bow on this conversation, bring it back to Wan'Dale, much clearer role for a guy like Daniel Bellinger in this offense because he's versatile and can do multiple different things versus a guy like Wan'Dale Robinson where he kind of feels like he needs to be pigeonholed and he needs to kind of be given like those manufactured stuff this year.
What do you think of Jalen Hyatt changing the number 13?
I think it's crazy.
That's bold. Like, like David Sills and Dante Pettis and
whatever.
Who had it before that? Who was the first person to do it? You should know this. You were at games.
Reggie?
I think you might even been around his family.
Reggie White? No,
Reggie White.
Reggie White. Reggie
Jr.
White. Okay, cool.
Not the Reggie White, but yeah, Reggie White.
Yeah,
I think he was a Monmouth County college, right?
Yeah, local guy.
I remember people being pissed when he showed up to rookie minicamp with that jersey number on. So like those guys, to me, it means nothing. Like Odell, the number 13 shouldn't be retired. Like if you think so, I think you're out of your mind, and I think you are way too much of a fanboy of Odell. He played in one playoff game and he choked. He doesn't deserve to have his jersey retired, and he left on bad terms. But Hyatt, who has a big profile, rookie, or was wide receiver of the year in college, him taking 13 is bold, and I kind of love it.
And also, it was very underreported that Hyatt has said on multiple occasions that the receiver that he liked most growing up was Odell. I feel like that would be something that would totally be ran with. Like the second that after he was drafted, those clips would be circulating online and they would go viral.
He was drafted by the Giants, he's kind of tampered it a little bit because Hyatt knows the way people run with it.
Not the combine, he said it though.
Yeah, but that was before he was on the Giants.
Yeah.
So they asked him, the media asked him, was like, was there anyone other than your teammates that you talked to, like begging him to be like, yeah, I talked to Odell. He's like, no, just teammates, And then finally they're like, but what about Odell? And he's like, no, I didn't talk to him, but yeah, I definitely thought about it, you know. He's like, but I want to make my own. So I think he's tampering down because he understands, like, but that was bold, and I like it. It looks good on him. That was the only other number that I would have liked to have him other than 84.
Yeah, I kind of liked 84.
Because 11's retired.
I kind of liked 84. Catch a touchdown against the Cowboys week 1, and I'm going to really like 13 too. You know what's evil, though? Like, this is just straight up evil. Taking David Sills' number 1, and then number 2, knowing that he's Daniel Jones' best friend, just taking his fucking locker when it's not even cold. It's still warm. Can you
believe Sills left?
No, it's I was a lot sadder than I thought I would be.
I cannot believe he left to go to another practice squad.
So he made the decision. Like he could have signed with the Giants practice squad. He made the decision to go to the Broncos, right?
You would assume so.
That's tough. I mean, the Broncos also have only 3 active wide receivers on the roster right now.
I think Sills wants to play. Like we forget, like as much as we joke about Sills, like he does want to play, and he was on an active roster all of last year, or most of last year.
So if the Broncos have maybe 2 to 3 wide receivers on their practice squad, like David Sills could, and I think Jerry Jeudy's even hurt. So David Sills may actually play on the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, and I always assumed he'd be for the rest of his life. Like Daniel Jones would have a retirement speech, and David Sills would also retire, but he would spend every year on the Giants on a futures contract, follow Daniel Jones around, be a star in preseason, get cut, and then join the practice. I thought that would be the rest of. He'd be doing that till he's 34 years old.
Daniel Jones in his retirement speech mentions David Sills, and then when remember the Tom Coughlin retirement speech where Eli Manning and his bottom lip is quivering because he's crying.
Yeah, Sills. That would be Sills.
It would be Daniel Jones, and then cut to David Sills in the crowd. Daniel Jones says, "David Sills, I love you, man," and then you see the bottom lip quivering, and that's my vision.
That Coughlin speech, man, like, if I watch it right now, it still gets me emotional.
It's not you.
He thinks it's him. He's, dude, just saying those words to myself, it like, gets me, like, emotional. And then,
evil by Hyatt, though. That was evil.
But it's smart, though. Get in next spot? To DJ. Get that locker next to DJ. Like, that's, and next to Shep, who's, like, essentially a wide receiver coach, so.
And so what do you think What do you think Jones's reaction to that is?
Well, someone was going to take it. That's what happens after cut down days.
No, not only take his number, but take the locker. I think Daniel Jones is like, bro, you trying too hard?
It's not Sills' number. Let's be real, though.
It is. I take more of a more of a reaction to him taking the locker than I do actually the number.
Somebody was going to take that locker, so.
Oh yeah.
If anyone should have done it, it actually should have been Hyatt, because
there had to be a joke where it's like, bro, we ain't even done digging the grave yet.
Yeah, but that's cut down day every year.
I guess.
Darrian Beavers was cut back on the practice squad. Now I will say the reaction to this wasn't bad as it would have been a few months ago, but Justin, he looked really bad in preseason. And this is a guy who's never played a game in the NFL. Like, so people compare Darrian Beavers to Ryan Connolly, and I strongly disagree with that. Like, Ryan Connolly was drafted 2 rounds higher, which is a much higher investment. Played good in football games. In football games in the NFL, Ryan Connolly played good. Darrian Beavers played decent in one preseason game, and a game that Austin Colitro and Micah McFadden also played well in. And we saw him in camp and preseason. He looked slow and bad, and he already wasn't a great athlete. He didn't have all this high upside. He was 24 years old coming out of the draft. He was their last draft pick out of 10 picks. And the idea was like, oh, this guy's going to come in and be a surefire good starter. So I did think he'd make the team, but him being cut did not surprise me at all. Now, I do think there's some talent there where I'm glad he's back on the practice squad. But if Beavers would have started, people would have turned on him. It would have happened.
Yeah, the first draft of a new regime is always going to be paid attention to a little bit more. And, guy wore number 0. We got a lot of sacks, compiled a lot of stats at Cincinnati because he played for 17 years over there. So And UConn. It's why he played for so long, because he transferred. Yeah, so Darrian Beavers on the practice squad. If we don't trade for Isaiah Simmons, I think Darrian Beavers makes the 53. So let's talk about the interior linebacker room. And this is a 53-man roster reaction pod too. I am no longer looking at the interior linebacker room as the position group that I'm feeling most worried about. If Bobby Okereke goes down, yes, that changes the entirety of the entire complexion of the defense. But I'm no longer looking at that with Isaiah Simmons, with Micah McFadden, with Beavers on the practice squad, I guess. Like, I'm not feeling like dire about that room anymore. Like, there's other positions like corner and swing tackle that I'm feeling dire about with our depth, right?
Yeah, swing tackle is the biggest issue.
Because interior linebacker, we were talking about a couple months ago that what, like, issue number one is the depth in that room. And I'm not necessarily feeling that right now.
Yeah, I guess. We'll see how McFadden looks in the regular season.
Right.
Preseason props up linebacker play. Why don't you talk to us about SeatGeek, and then we'll talk about Darnay. SeatGeek will give you a pay cut on your ticket prices.
Sure.
Just like Darnay Holmes took a pay cut, which we'll talk about.
Wow. Today's episode is sponsored by SeatGeek. If you don't know what SeatGeek is, they're a ticketing app that makes buying tickets super simple. Get your tickets for Week 1, Dallas Cowboys versus Giants, Sunday Night Football, September 10th. Get there. Come hang out with us in L16. SeatGeek, I guarantee around section 315, where I sit up in the nosebleeds. First of all, kind of good view. I'm around like the 25, 30 yard line, so I like looking at the kind of like the whole field from that side angle. I get to all 22 access before anyone else, and I guarantee in my section, it's a green deal. And SeatGeek, they always want to make sure that you are getting a good deal. So when you're on the app, look for the green dots. Green means good, red means bad. Every ticket is backed by their buying guarantee, and SeatGeek is the only site that lets you return your tickets ahead of the event with swaps. We've got the hookup for you. Use code GIANTS for $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek. That's $20 off your first purchase with promo code GIANTS. Click the link in the description to download the app. Bobby Skinner, you'll be glad you did.
I'm watching a clip of them asking Joe Shane, like, you share a city? And Shane's like, yeah, they were here last year too. Like,
and the year before that.
Yeah. It's like we play them every year in the preseason. It's like they're begging for Jets headlines. The Jets, I guess, are hot in the streak. I guess if you're a Jets fan, you'd be happy.
Oh, they are. I mean, they're literally the hottest story in the NFL.
Darnay Holmes took a pay cut because he had the proven performance escalators that got his contract up to a $2.9 million cap hit. Bad news for anyone that falls into that, like Darius Slayton did last year. You only have $200,000 in dead cap, which screams, if you're a borderline player, it screams either cut me or force me to take a pay cut. He does do that. I mean, technically, Justin, he's the number one nickel corner on the depth chart. Obviously, Adoree, right now, it looks like that's going to happen. But Darnay is your first one. I still look at Fabian Moreau didn't show up right away for the Giants last year. I think they're going to try and work to add some type of nickel corner in there because you just don't feel good about anybody. Like, hopefully Flott's a better game player than he is a practice player and stuff, but that didn't show up in the preseason games. He's dealing with a little bit of injury that's got him banged up. So I'm happy that Darnay Holmes took a pay cut because I'd rather have him on the team than Amani Rore, who's was put on the practice squad. But it's, again, like you said, it's another position where the depth is not looking good. I mean, the depth is forcing us to change Adoree Jackson's position.
Yeah, who's the best corner on the team, and the lack of depth and the lack of anybody at slot corner is also forcing us to start 2 rookie corners on the outside, which is why I really hope that they do add somebody at nickel corner for the season. Because while I am so excited for Trey Hawkins, Deonte Banks is starting no matter what. While I'm so excited for Trey Hawkins, I'm so excited that he's here and he's had a great camp and he's had a great summer. I just don't feel comfortable thrusting him into a starting role where it's like, all right, go and guard Brandon Cooks week 1. Go and guard Michael Gallup week 1. It's a tough assignment and it's a tough spot to put a very young rookie in. I'd rather have first-round pick Deonte Banks face that. I'd rather have Adoree Jackson face that. Maybe week 1 is an exception because CeeDee Lamb is in the slot. So, but a lot of weeks after that. So, the Giants secondary is in a very uncomfortable spot right now.
I wish we had played the Cowboys week 2 so we could have a more real conversation about Adoree and the nickel.
Yeah. And I don't even mean to. I'm not like hating. Like name another.
Oh yeah, those are the three corners I want on the field, Justin. I mean, I'm not hating either, but it's like when we do face teams that have their best two wide receivers on the outside, it's a very weird. Like, what are they going to? You got to do different things defensively than if you had a Darray versus a number one wide receiver.
But you can't sit there and call me a hater and call me, oh, you don't believe in the coaching staff. You can't sit there and do that when. Look in the mirror and ask yourself, are you really comfortable starting two rookie corners on the outside week 1 against the Cowboys? Really look at yourself in the mirror and ask you that.
Oh no, but I'd rather have those guys playing than the alternatives.
Right. Which again, it's not necessarily. It's not a referendum on Banks or Hawkins. It's a referendum on the Giants have not found a way to solidify slot corner. Where Cordell
it sucks that Hawkins is just like he's like a top 3 corner on this team right now. Where he was the athlete, and hey, maybe he freaking balls out, dude. And if he does, I'm gonna be the happiest person in the world. Like that draft pick was a sick draft pick. And we called it. It's like this dude is like we said it. My favorite line in the Trey Hawkins evaluation post-draft, Justin, was, this dude is what everyone says Corey Trice is. You know, Corey Trice was the Purdue corner that everybody loved in the draft, despite his film fucking being trash and him losing anytime a guy didn't run in a straight line. I was like, this is the guy. This is a guy who's big, long, strong, and fast and can move with anybody and physical. This is the guy. If he played at a D1 school, he would have been picked in like the 3rd or 4th round or something. So I'm excited for Hawkins, but I also am nervous because rookie corner's hard as hell. Yeah. And he's a 6th-rounder who's going to have to be thrown in that role, and we'll see what happens. But maybe we get the next Tariq Woolen. That would be cool. I was looking at Twitter, and someone tweeted at Jordan, said no one gives a shit what the answer to this question is.
Wow.
And Jordan responded, that's fine. I didn't ask your opinion, but thanks for giving it. You clearly don't understand my job, but if there's a story on the subject, I most certainly need to provide the key figures an opportunity to comment. Which is kind of the point we're saying. We should mess with Jordan about that. Be like, yeah, that's the point. It's like you guys are trying to write a story about the Giants and the Jets.
When there is no story.
Yeah, it's just like, hey, Jihad Ward was pissed about a concussion that his teammate got.
Yeah.
That's the story.
And also, this is football. Like, guys talk to each other and guys get mad. And
all game long.
Yeah.
No matter who the opponent is. But I am excited for that game. More for the fans than the players.
What else do we got?
So practice squad stuff. Did you talk to this? Yeah, you did. Never mind, I'm an idiot.
I did.
So Tommy DeVito supposedly got interest from the Lions and the Patriots, who the Patriots, I don't know what they're doing. They cut Bailey Zappi, brought him back on the practice squad. But he's back. Jashawn Corbin. And now, so this is where keeping Gary Brightwell, who's injured, actually does bother me. Because we lost Jashawn Corbin to the Panthers. He went to the Panthers practice squad. I'd much rather have Jashawn Corbin on this team than Gary Brightwell, and that's frustrating. But we're talking about the number 4 running back, so not too much thought on there. What did you think of Darius Rush not being claimed? We talked about this with a Patreon before. So the Colts cut Darius Rush, who we always, like, he had a bad camp, but it's like we kind of knew Darius Rush have a bad camp. He's new to the cornerback position. The fact that no team put a claim on him besides the Chiefs, who are last in the claim order and have a history of taking swings on guys who are pains in the ass, it just makes me think, like, Rush may have been a pain in the ass to deal with. Like, not legal, like, issues or stuff like that, but just might have been a pain in the ass. Now, that's just where my head goes, where it's like, well, why did no one claim this guy? Because he did go in the 5th round.
Yeah, 31 other teams, and I think even Darius Rush, wasn't he getting more than 5th round hype at the time?
Yeah, he was viewed as like a 3rd, 4th round guy.
Yeah, so going in the 5th round, number 1, 31 other teams are passing on him, and literally the last team was like, why the hell not? We'll claim him, and, you know, like you said, the Chiefs do that anyway, a la Kadarius Toney. Yeah. Josh Gordon. So I don't have a major
DeAndre Baker.
a major issue with that, because that's the thing that sucks about the draft process is you do so much work on draft stuff and draft process, and the information that teams value the most, at least it seems like Joe Shane is being smart and tough and dependable, and some of those things, a lot of those things you can't see on film, and that's talking to college coaches and actually interviewing them and getting to know them, and we don't even have access to that stuff. So you can sit there and say that Darius Rush is the best thing since sliced bread, but we don't really know that.
I think that's where I'm going to try and improve my draft coverage next year. So I'm just going to talk to people that might be in it. Like, what's the deal with this cat?
Yeah.
It's like with Malik Willis. Malik Willis, we talked to people in Detroit, and we're like, was there any rumblings? And they're like, no. It's like, guy couldn't even spit at the plays back. It's like he's just not able to do this type of stuff. So practice squad stuff. So retain guys, Tommy DeVito, Cole Beasley, Darrian Beavers, O'Shane Zimenez, Timon Fox, Tyree Phillips, Amani Aurorier, Deontay Johnson, Ryder Anderson, Jamon Green, Alex Cook. I broke that news. Not a damn reporter credited me. They waited for Dable to say it. And then Ryan Jones, the tight end. New additions. Tywan Jones, who's been in the league for a long time, is kind of the return specialist. He got some running back reps here or there.
Isn't he like 35?
Yeah, he's old. I remember playing with him in Madden like 10 years ago. Dennis Houston from the Cowboys. I don't see much there. Tyree Jackson from the Eagles, the tight end, who was a quarterback at Buffalo with the big arm, 6'7". He can move pretty well. Another guy who doesn't add any blocking prowess, which concerns me a little bit, that we only have one guy on this roster who can block at tight end. Like, that actually does concern me. We have 4 tight ends that can't block, and Darren Waller, Lawrence Cager, Tyree Jackson, and Ryan Jones. That is not good. But Tyree Jackson can move a little bit. And then Jalen Mayfield, who came out of the draft a couple years ago out of Michigan. He's been really bad. Like, his rookie year is one of the worst, like, guard rookie years of all time. Missed all of his second year with injury, and then was working out offensive tackle this preseason. Was really bad. We talked about him in the draft, and he was someone who, like, would fire out of his stance, was physical, worked combos really well, but it's just like there's a lot of sloppiness to his game. Played with a high pad level. And it's just never turned into anything in the NFL. Like, it's been really, really... Like, so I was looking for videos just to see some clips of him in preseason, and all the videos on Twitter, when you search Jalen Mayfield, are Falcons fans celebrating, like, him not being on their team anymore.
Oh, that's tough.
Yeah, so I don't think there's anything there. Like, it's been really bad, and the team that drafted him in the 3rd round gave up on him, but he's just a practice squad player. So, yeah, I mean, out of these practice squad guys, Cole Beasley, to me, is just... He is part of the roster. Beavers, because, you do still have some hope for him. Tyree Phillips is good to have there.
Timon Fox, O'Shane Zimenez.
Yeah, I mean, there's really no one on this practice squad outside of Beasley where I'm like, and Beavers, where I'm like, you could be a solid contributing NFL player eventually. And Beasley's just like, it's semantics that he's on the practice squad. He's on the roster.
Tommy DeVito's back. All that matters.
Yeah, DeVito's back. Hopefully he'll be QB2 next year. Yeah, is there any other notes that you had, Justin? I think we
that must be
everything.
Cool for him that he was generating some interest from some other teams.
Yeah, I'm excited for him to learn on this coaching. I cannot wait to watch him preseason next year and be like, hey, this guy should be quarterback too. Like, I think they should bring in a QB on a minimum, a Mike Glennon type, and let Tommy DeVito battle with him. And you guys know my opinion on backup quarterbacks anyways, is you should not be paying a lot of money unless you are a proven Super Bowl contender and you can afford that luxury. Which is kind of why I didn't like the Tyrod Taylor contract in the first place. It's like we should spend money at positions that we hope guys actually play at. Because if Daniel Jones goes down, we're going to suck. All right, Justin, do you have anything else?
No. What do we have next week as of right now?
So, as of right now, it could change. We have a mailbag out on Tuesday. I'm going to tweet that out right now. So go find it on the Talking Giants Twitter account. So we'll have a mailbag. And then Friday is a preview pod, man. Ooh. Like, it is very exciting. We were texting last night, the group chat, and it's like, man, we're a week away from this damn thing. So very excited for that. Danny King will be back on the show. We'll see you guys then. We appreciate you so much. Training camp's over. Thank you for all the support. We'll see you then. Until then, let's go Big Blue.